Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Anita Ramya from Sharjah, UAE, welcoming all of you to this Bhakti Sankha Japa conference call. I thank all of you for attending this session. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy names which are to be avoided, written by Srila Vyasadeva in the Padma Purana. Number 1, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Rama to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Number 4, to blaspheme the scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be net into while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against his offenses in order to achieve the desired success, that is Krishna Prema. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I once again welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sankha Japa conference call. So today our next class will be on Srimad Bhagavatam. But before moving on to the next class, I would like to know who are all on the call today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nita Mataji, Dandrat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Priti Dasi from Shal. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Priti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvind Das Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sandamini Devi Dasi from New Jersey. Hare Krishna. So nice to be here.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can you come again with your name?
Sandamini Devi Dasi.
Okay. Hare Krishna Sandamini Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, your voice, Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devi Dasi from Rani.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call very consistently. Hare Krishna. I think it's over a decade. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and giving us your valuable association and all your services. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyama Gauri Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and giving us your valuable time and association. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Anyone else who would like to introduce themselves?
Mataji, I think
Prabhuji is there on the call, so I think
yes.
you can go on. Yeah. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I once again welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sankha Japa conference call. So today we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, which will be given by His Grace Madana-Gopala Prabhu. And before moving on to the call, I would like to hand over the call. Moving on to the class, I would like to hand over the call to Her Grace Nita Gandharvika Mataji to give a brief introduction about His Grace Madana-Gopala Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Nita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Over to you, Mataji. Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
you can do it, Mataji.
Myself? Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. for allowing me to do this seva of reading the introduction. Hari Bol. So this here is the introduction for Prabhuji. So His Grace Madana-Gopala Prabhuji was born and raised in a pious Gujarat Hindu strict vegetarian family in Kenya. He always felt a calling for Krishna at a young age in 1991, and so Prabhuji joined ISKCON Nairobi and started observing all its rules. While his friends were busy in the usual adolescent shenanigans, he was spending time chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mahamantra, deepening his spiritual practice. So Prabhuji says Lord Krishna has shown him the way ever since, and with his grace, he has moved to US in 1993 to pursue further education and a professional career. In 2001, he got married to Manasi Ganga Mataji, who came from a pious and strict Hindu family as well. Together, their Krishna conscious journey deepened, and they welcomed and raised their son Madhav in a Krishna consciousness environment. He is currently serving as an ISKCON GBC zonal supervisor for Philadelphia, Baltimore, Harrisburg, Albany, and Delaware temples, as well as the co-director of ISKCON Communications for North America. Manasi Ganga Mataji is currently serving as the co-director of ISKCON North America's Enhanced Child Protection Team. Madhav is currently pursuing a degree in medicine at Michigan State University. Prabhuji has created his website as a service to Lord Sri Krishna and to share the teachings of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and ISKCON's founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada with his students, and to all who wish to live a peaceful and content life. And Prabhuji's was initiated in 1999 by His Holiness Satsvarupa Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, dear Prabhuji, for giving us your valuable time and association this morning to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the verses will be from Canto 7, Chapter 7, and verse will be 39. Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for kindly welcoming me into your circle and for your generous introduction. It is an honor to be with all of you in this morning, and we can read Srimad Bhagavatam together. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 7, verse 339. Raya Kalatram Pashava Sutadayo Griha Mahi Kunjarakosha Bhutaya Sarvertha Kama Kshana Bhangurayusha Kurvanti Martyasya Kiyat Priyam Chala. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One's riches, beautiful wife and female friends, one's sons and daughters, one's residence, one's domestic animals like cows, elephants, and horses, one's treasury, economic development, and sense gratification. Indeed, even the lifetime in which one can enjoy all these material opulences are certainly temporary and flickering. Since the opportunity of human life is temporary, what benefit can these material opulences give to a sensible man who has understood himself to be eternal. This verse describes, this is a purport, this verse describes how the advocates of economic development are frustrated by the laws of nature. As the previous verse asks, Kim Vishayo Papadanai? What is the actual benefit of so-called economic development? The history of the world has factually proved that attempts to increase economic development for bodily comfort through the advancement of material civilization have done nothing to remedy the inevitability of birth, death, old age, and disease. Everyone has knowledge of huge empires throughout the history of the world. The Roman Empire, the Mughal Empire, the British Empire, and so on. But all the societies engaged in such economic development, sarverthakama, have been frustrated by the laws of nature through periodic wars, pestilence, famine, and so on. Thus, all their attempts have been flickering and temporary. In this verse, therefore, it is said, Kurvanti martyasya kiyat priyam chala. One may be very proud of possessing a vast empire, but such empires are impermanent. After 100 or 200 years, everything is finished. All such positions of economic development, although created with great endeavor and hardship, are vanquished very soon. Therefore, they have been described as chala. An intelligent man should conclude that material, economic development is not at all pleasing. The entire world is described in Bhagavad Gita as dukhalayam ashashvatam, miserable and temporary. Economic development may be pleasing for some time, but it cannot endure. Thus, many big businessmen are now very morose because they're being harassed by various plundering governments. In conclusion, why should one waste his time for so-called economic development, which is neither permanent nor pleasing to the soul? On the other hand, our relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is eternal. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. The pure souls are eternally in love with Krishna. And this permanent love, either as a servant, a friend, a parent, or a conjugal lover, is not at all difficult to revive. Especially in this age, the concession is that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, one revives his original relationship with God and thus becomes so happy that he does not want anything material. As enunciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. A very advanced devotee in Krishna consciousness does not want riches, followers, or possessions. Raya kalatram pashava sutadayo griha mahi kunjara kosha bhutaya. The satisfaction of possessing material opulences, although perhaps of a different standard, is available even in the lives of dogs and hogs who cannot revive their eternal relationship with Krishna. In human life, however, our eternal dormant relationship with Krishna is possible to revive. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is described in this life as arthadam. Consequently, instead of wasting our time for economic development, which cannot give us any happiness, if we simply try to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna, we will properly utilize our lives. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave. I offer my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who has opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you assembled Vaishnavas and seek your kind permission and blessings that we may recite Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. So here we are looking at Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj is instructing his classmates, and he is telling them, look, you're all, sons of very rich people. I'm also. But my guru has taught me, and I'm observing, all the things that we endeavor for really hard, especially economic development and the sense gratification, and even these relationships that are based on that, and all the cool possessions that we have, like all these animals and horses and cows and elephants, and our land, is two things. It's temporary and flickering. What is the point? Especially if you have understood that you're eternal. If you don't know that you're eternal, then it makes sense to be crazy after these things. But once you've understood that you're eternal, and eternity, it's basically infinite. Such a long span of time that you're actually beyond time. So if you understand that concept, then this running behind material comforts makes no sense at all. You see the verse Prabhupada says, the verse is like this. All these material opulences are suddenly temporary and flickering. Since the opportunity of human life is temporary, what benefit can these material opulences give to a sensible man who has understood himself to be eternal? So if we know we're eternal, and if we know that this human life is temporary, and if we are sensible, then we will not run after them. That's basically logic. So then the question may be asked, okay, why do we who are aspiring devotees still kind of run after these things? Like, why do we get anxious about them? About our so-called standard of living? One of these three things is missing. Either I don't understand really that I'm eternal. I still think I'm this body. Or I don't quite get the point that human life is temporary. Or I'm not sensible, like I've lost my mind. Those three things, one of those three things, all of those three things are problems. But if we are sensible and intelligent, if we recognize human life is temporary, and if we recognize we are eternal, then we will necessarily not run after, not be anxious even the tiniest bit for material comforts. Because even very rich people, they suffer tremendously. And what does it mean, temporary and flickering? Temporary means it's only going to be maximum 100 years. So that's a time limit. And flickering, even within those 100 years, it goes up and down. Even if you have the money, you lose something else. Either you have relationships and health, but you have no money. Or you have money, but you have lost your health, or you lost your relationships. You're tense about something or another. That is called flickering. You see, so it's temporary and flickering, both. Prabhupada translates the word chala as both flickering and temporary, like chanchala. So what is the solution? The solution in the purport Prabhupada offers is that person who has surrendered unto Krishna, when you have a relationship with Krishna through the Hare Krishna mahamantra, then we can actually be happy because that's eternal. And the joy that comes from it. When practiced properly, Krishna consciousness gives deep, satisfying joy. And it is not temporary because it goes on to the next life. And it is not flickering either because when you practice it properly, no external circumstance can diminish it even one bit. You see? That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I don't want distractions. No dhanam na junam na sundarim. I want to serve you, Lord, and I want to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Now, today is a very special and auspicious day, and I wanted to talk about that. Okay, but how is it that we surrender to the Lord? This Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And how is it that we surrender? Well, we surrender to the divine energy of the Lord. So today is the auspicious day of Sita Navami, the glorious appearance of Mother Sita, the divine Shakti. At least here in North America. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mahatmanas tamam partha daivim prakritimashita bhajati ananya manaso gyata bhutadim avyayam. And he says, O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. Daivim prakriti. They're fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So, who is this Daivi Shakti? See, the verse previous to this, Krishna talks about those who are like demoniacally asuric inclined, those who are very selfish, they're very greedy, those are very harsh to other people, rough and violent just for their own sense gratification. They'll do anything, the demoniac mentality. They also take shelter. They take shelter of Mohini Prakriti, the deluding energy, this Maya, material energy. But those who are great souls, Mahatmanas tu means but, means he's contrasting with the previous verses. Mahatmanas tu mam partha, they're under protection of my Daivim Prakriti, the divine energy. See, so this divine energy refers to who? Let's find out. Now, when we do katha means any kind of discussion of spiritual knowledge. It's of two kinds. There's lila and there's tattva. Now, many of you must have heard or read Srila Prabhupada's lectures. How much time did he spend on the topic of tattva versus lila katha? Tattva means the philosophical conclusions. Lila means the different pastimes that the Lord did. Most of the time, most of Prabhupada's recordings, almost all his lectures, predominantly is about tattva, the philosophy. Because tattva is very important because it strengthens our faith. We can worship Krishna by our intelligence, buddhi yogam. And when we worship Krishna with our intelligence, then our soul feels very happy and dances because the soul, the buddhi, the intelligence is the next door neighbor of the soul, you see. Therefore, tattva is very important. Of course, lila is also important. Now, what are some of these tattvas? Some of the tattvas that we discuss in the Shastra, the Vishnu tattva, Jiva tattva, Shakti tattva. Right? So Vishnu tattva refers to Lord Krishna and his direct incarnations, like Lord Balaram, all the Vishnu expansions, Lord Rama, and so on, Nrsimhadev. Jiva tattva refers to us, the spirit souls, the eternal living entities who are sparks of the fire. And Shakti tattva. Shakti tattva is the energy of the Lord. And like I was mentioning, Bhagavad Gita, what happened? PowerPoint crash, it seems. Weird. Okay, it's so bizarre. It looks like PowerPoint crashes. Give me a second. How did that happen? Stop the share. It completely crashed on me. It never happened like this before. So just give me a second. I'm sorry. So we're talking about the Shakti, right? While I'm trying to recover from the PowerPoint, I'll talk a little bit. So Shakti Tattva has two kinds. We talked about Mohini Prakriti, which is Shakti, Mohini Shakti, Dev, and then there's Daivi Shakti. All right. So Mohini Prakriti is embodied by one divine personality. She's also known as Maya Devi, Durga Devi, Mahamaya, Kali Mata, things like that. Different names are given. Then there is Daivi Prakriti, or Daivi Shakti, is divine nature, also known as internal potency. So that Shakti is also embodied The embodiment of that is Smt Radharani. See? So Smt Radharani. Now in the Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, Prabhupada does not mention that Devi Prakriti is Smt Radharani. However, if you read Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada reveals that verse, he refers to that same verse of the Bhagavad Gita in the Nectar of Devotion, you see. And he says here, Devi Prakriti refers to Smt Radharani. So he gives that inner purport in Nectar of Devotion. So it's worth definitely discovering that when you're reading a Nectar of Devotion, okay? But see if I can do this again. There's Devi Prakriti, Mohini Prakriti. All right. So Shakti means energy of the Lord. Now, the sun, for example, has two important energies, the heat and light. The sun globe itself is Shaktiman, the energetic, and the heat and light are the Shakti. So they're actually inseparable. Similarly, Radharani is the original Shakti of the original Shaktiman, who is Lord Krishna. And they expand into Lakshmi and Narayan. So again, Shaktiman is Narayan, and the Shakti is Lakshmi Devi. Now we come into sometimes this technical term called Hladini Shakti. Hladini Shakti refers to the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. This Shakti, this energy of the Lord, who is a person, by the way, she is very, very close and confidential. It's just like they're inseparable, just like it's impossible to separate the light from the sun. So one cannot separate Hladini Shakti from the Lord. They're also interdependent. So it's very close, intimate, they're inseparable, and they're interdependent. They cannot exist without one another. And in one sense, they are one, and yet they're different. So that is Hladini Shakti. Hlad means one gives pleasure to the heart. So who is this Hladini Shakti? We know just as Radharani is Krishna's Hladini Shakti. Sitadevi is Hladini Shakti of Lord Rama. So here in our temple in New Jersey, in Tobacco, we're very fortunate to have Sitaram, Lakshman Hanuman, and we see this darshan, very beautiful form of Sitadevi. On our altar, we have at least 15 divine personalities. Out of these, Sitadevi is the only feminine personality and the only merciful divine mother, Jagan Mata. So Srimati Sitadevi, she was not born in an ordinary way. She appeared from within the earth many hundreds of thousands of years ago. There was this great king, Janak. Janak, by the way, is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. You know, he's one of the 12 Mahajans mentioned in Bhagavatam. He's a great devotee, top class. And he performed a special yajna and was part of the ceremony to plow the earth. This time his plow came across a golden container and a little baby girl appeared. See, the tip of the plow is known as Sita. Therefore, he wanted to name the baby Sita. Therefore, the beautiful name Sita Devi came. Now, as a child, Sita Devi displayed many divine qualities. The Janak Maharaj, he had inherited from his ancestors this giant bow of Lord Shiva. And this bow was kept on a big cart with many, many, many wheels, hundreds of wheels. It was such a big bow. And the bow was so heavy that it took 100 strong men 1 hour of pushing that cart to move it 1 inch. Then they had to take a break for about 1 hour. That's how heavy that bow was. And one day, Sita Devi, a little girl, just lifted the bow like it's nothing, like it's a flower or something. And she used to use it to knock down fruits from the trees. So, of course, Janak Maharaj was very shocked. And he realized, no, she's very special. Then, of course, Janak Maharaj said, okay, well, for someone like her, certainly she must be divine. So her husband would be someone divine, maybe most likely Narayan himself. So he kept a swayamvar where someone who can lift the bow and string it, only that person can win the hand of Sita Devi. So we all know the story. Many great Kshatriyas and kings, they tried, they couldn't even move the bow. And Lord Ram easily lifted the bow. And then when he went to string it, it broke with a loud, thunderous sound, shaking the earth and sky. The flowers fell from the sky, and Devta celebrated, and Janak and his wife Sunaina, they were so pleased that Narayan had finally come to claim Srimati Sitadevi, Lakshmi Devi, their beloved daughter. So Sita Devi had many wonderful and amazing qualities. We can discuss just a few of them today. One of them is faithfulness and tolerance. So when it came time for the coronation, Ram had been married just recently, and it's about time to coronate him. But we know the story that he was unfairly banished to the forest. Sita Devi could have stayed back in the palace. She wasn't asked to go to the forest. She could have stayed back in the palace, but she chose to stay with her husband, knowing fully well how difficult forest life will be. See? She chose to stay by the side of Lord Ram because she displayed the qualities of an ideal wife. Of course, Lord Ram was an ideal husband. So through all kinds of physical distress, it was her primary duty to stay by her Lord. Of course, Lord's primary duty, of course, was to protect her at all costs and take care of her with great affection. So as Lakshmi Devi, and as well as being a pampered, sheltered royal princess, served by hundreds of maidservants, she had never known any austerity or discomfort. But she tolerated the harsh life of forest living, walking barefoot among the thorns and under the hot sun for many hours just to serve Lord Ram. Another one of her qualities is courage and her inner strength as well. When she was kidnapped by Ravana and she was held in prison in this garden surrounded by these demonesses, she never showed fear. Even though, some of these are quite ghastly people. She had enough strength and power. She could have easily killed Ravana with a single blade of grass. But she wanted to give her husband the credit of killing the demon. She tolerated death threats and insults and heart-shattering, harsh words. And these Rakshashis, they used to taunt her, torture her, and they tried their best to break their morale, break, her courage, her morale. This very beautiful, delicate prisoner. But they could not shake even a bit her inner strength and her courage. This is quite remarkable. It's quite a remarkable quality. Sometimes, we see that in other women too. Women are very strong. They may sometimes, compared to men, physically in general, they're not as strong. But the inner strength that some of them demonstrate is way more than any man can do. Being a mother, for example, is so difficult. So Sita Devi demonstrated this as the ideal woman, as the ideal feminine nature. Courage and inner strength. She was also known for her patience and strong faith. So she's sitting in that garden being held prisoner by these demonesses. It's Ashoka garden in Lanka, and she heard someone beautifully singing the praises of Lord Ram. The sound was coming from the trees, and who was that? That was Hanuman, the greatest devotee of Lord Ram, the most famous devotee of Shri Sitaram. He had come, and he offered to immediately fly her back to Lord Ram. Yeah, get on the back. I'll just jump right back, and before you know it, you'll be in the hands of your Lord. But she refused. She had faith and she had patience. She knew that Lord Ram will personally come for her, and he kept her strong faith and patience. Lesson for us to learn also as practicing devotees, those of us who are trying to become Krishna conscious, and we are trying to chant Hare Krishna despite all the difficulties of our life. Sometimes our own faith and patience is tested. When things happen to us that's beyond our control, or when we don't feel much spiritual advancement, sometimes we feel even worse than before we started. We do need to maintain some faith that this process works, that keeps us going. And we need to maintain some patience as well while keeping enthusiastic, right? The 6 qualities that will ensure our complete success of Krishna conscious process, practice. They are given by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction. Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat sangatyaga sato vritte shadbhir bhakti prasiddhyati. These 6 items will ensure complete success of the bhakti process. What is that? Utsaha, enthusiasm. Nishchaya, strong determination. So Sita Devi is determined. No, my Lord is going to come. Utsaha means enthusiasm. When we serve the Lord, we do it with great enthusiasm. And Prabhupada, interestingly, translated enthusiasm as intelligent application. When we combine intelligence with our energy and application, that is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm doesn't mean foolishness. Enthusiasm is intelligence and action together. That is enthusiasm. If we have put aside our intelligence, then we're not enthusiastic. We have to really tax our brain to do things right. Utsaha, nishchaya. Yes, I'm firmly determined. Nishchaya means it helps us overcome some of the bumps in the road, helps us overcome some of the burdens that we have to carry, the pain of it, helps us overcome the setbacks and ups and downs. And then there's dhairya. Why am I not getting the love of God right now? No, dhairya. Some of these things take time. When you're growing fruits, when you're growing flowers, you can't expect in 10 minutes that where's the fruit. No, it takes time. But when you get it, it'll be wonderful. Dhairya, like that. So these are some of the good qualities that Sita Devi demonstrated. Then, of course, she is also very famous for being the perfect mother. Even after returning to Ayodhya and becoming queen again, she had to undergo yet more tragic events. She was carrying her twin children, Love and Kush, in her womb. And before they were even born, she was banished from the kingdom. She went through such painful experiences, but still she raised her 2 sons with great care and affection. The birthplace of these sons is, you can still visit it. It's called Bittur. It's only a few miles away from our ISKCON temple in Kanpur. It's a really beautiful place. But she demonstrated in the face of so much, even insult, It's quite amazing. And what is there to learn from this is that even the most divine of ladies has to sometimes undergo so much, and yet she maintains her faith in the Lord. And yet she continues being the perfect person, perfectly behaved person. So setbacks will come in our lives too. I'm sure most of us have had setbacks of different types. But still, we are here trying to hear the message of the Lord. And that pleases the Lord. She was the ideal daughter, the ideal wife, ideal mother. She showed by her own divine example the meaning and value of stri dharma and the value and power of purity and faith. So we are fortunate to have the chance to serve her personally here in New Jersey, in Tobacco, and also wherever you are. You can serve Sita Devi today by remembering her pastimes, remembering her glories, and chanting. And you can pray to her today, certainly, to give us all inner strength, the courage, faith, and patience in our own lives and our own practice of bhakti, that we may make some progress. We may recognize what Prahlad Maharaj is saying, that a sensible person who recognizes that he or she is eternal soul, doesn't waste his time on running after these external flashy things, thinking them to be the real cause of happiness. In fact, in the 5th chapter, Krishna says that the dehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhaya yonaya evate, that these bhoga, these items of so-called enjoyment that come about from samsparshaja, that come about from bringing the senses in contact with sense objects, they are not cause of happiness. They are dukkha yona. They are the mother of misery. They are the source of misery. And a wise person does not take pleasure in them. Na teshu ramate buddha. The wise person, Buddha, one was buddhi, does not delight in them. Why? Because they have a beginning and they have an end. And that's exactly what Prahlad Maharaj is telling us today. Now, because we are conditioned to think this is real happiness, is material enjoyment. We are conditioned for many lifetimes. So it's hard for us to shake that off. And therefore, we have the structured process following regular principles in chanting. But when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and we really dive into taking shelter of the energy of the Lord with our hearts, we can overcome our conditioning also. We can recognize the temporary and flickering nature of this world. We can recognize how all these people running after these big riches, different flavors, is really nothing but diving into more misery, more fire. We recognize that we should take up the opportunity of this human form of life to embrace the Lord, to embrace His service, and to find joy. Let's start enjoying life properly right away. Enjoy life properly by chanting, by practicing Krishna consciousness, by hearing about Krishna, enjoying that pleasure within, the joy within. All this is covered in 5th chapter we're reading along every day, on the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That one who enjoys within, that person is wise. We don't need to look outward. The more we look outward to these external things, the more miserable we'll be. This life will be over in a second. It's like this. We all know how quickly it moves. It seems just the other day, our children were so small. It seems like, a few months ago, my son was maybe, just running around in his diapers. This year, he's turning 22. He's not wearing diapers anymore. He's a big kid, big man. Moves so quickly. And before you know it, our last few months will be there. Last few days will be coming up. How much time have you invested? How much effort have you really given to cry for Krishna, to bow down at the energy of the Lord, the divine energy of the Lord, and ask her to let us in to the kingdom of God? She's the one who let us in. Smt Sitadevi is the internal energy of the Lord, so we're celebrating her day today. And Smt Radharani, she's the internal energy of the Lord. She is Vrindavaneshwari. She is the one who really gives us shelter. That's why Krishna says, those Mahatmas take shelter of her. Devim Prakriti Ashrita. So on this day, let us take Ashraya. Let's take shelter wholeheartedly. And let's renew our commitment to serve Krishna. Let us refresh our enthusiasm in whatever way that we like. Either increase our reading and chanting, increase our different services that we do, maybe reflect a little bit more, maybe try to be a little more forgiving, cultivate some good qualities, but in connection with Krishna being in the center, we will feel some bliss for sure. So I'll pause here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. If anyone has any comments or questions, I think we have some time to go over those. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming on the call and giving us this very, very valuable information. And yes, as you said, the time is passing very soon. That we don't know when, in everyday basis also. So it seems to be early morning, and then it seems to be again night, 8 o'clock. So we don't know how the time is getting passed. But still, when we are engaging the time in Krishna conscious way, then it is really very helpful for us in our future endeavors also. And also, thank you so much for telling about Sita Maharani today on her appearance day. So, very good qualities which she's possessing, and we should pray to her to give some qualities to be humble and to endeavor all those qualities. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this class. Yeah, so I could say hand raise, Gail Mataji. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Haribol. Yeah, I didn't hear properly. Did you say that the end of King Janaka's plow is called Sita, and that's why she?
That's correct.
See, how do you spell?
Sita it's the same spelling, Sita, but without a long A.
Oh, without the long A. Oh, okay. Yeah, and it's interesting that he would name her that. It's like,
Well, it's a beautiful name.
I mean, the end of a plow.
That's fine. It still sounds beautiful.
It does sound beautiful. I like the phonetics.
Yes.
But the meaning is a little strange for a little girl.
I mean, if you think about like Nimai was named Nimai because born on a neem tree.
Yeah.
Right? And neem, like neem, isn't that we use the neem twigs to brush our teeth? That's kind of weird for the Lord. So it depends on how you look at it. It's actually very sweet.
Okay. Yeah, the other thing is, we often hear, whether in ISKCON or outside of ISKCON, that, happiness is within, and, I just like to make things a little more concrete. So for me, happiness within means, to enjoy one's relationship with Krishna, but I feel like we never really hear that within defined that way, so when we say, happiness is within, I mean, what did you mean, I should say?
Yes, that's a good question. It's kind of abstract when we say it that way.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So let's bring some concreteness into it by giving practical example. All right. When I was very young, maybe about 15 years old, I went to a temple of Krishna in Gujarat, in Dakor. Very beautiful temple of the Lord, just the Krishna deity. And I thought I was a cool devotee. I'm chanting Hare Krishna. I'm going to go. I'm looking at the deities. And I'm like, this deity is so beautiful, but my heart is not jumping. I thought I'd be so happy, but I'm kind of feeling that, yeah, okay, it's nice. I'm not feeling any happiness. Then I turned around, okay, and I saw this old lady. She was really short. Like I'm not tall, but this lady was like short to my shoulders. And she must be at least 80 plus. She had these Coke bottle, thick glasses. And she was holding her hands really tight. And her eyes were closed and just tears streaming from her eyes, relentlessly. And she was smiling. And I realized she's enjoying so much happiness from within. Like she is a flood of joy, of appreciation of the Lord, of how wonderful he is. And obviously, she must have had a lot of experience in her life. She must be 82, 83 years old. So she's seen a lot in the world, right? And here she is in front of the Lord. Either grateful that she's able to take darshan, grateful for what he has done for her in spite of her difficulties. She didn't look rich or anything. She looked like she's gone through a lot in her life. And I realized she's smiling and she has these tears. And I saw this is called happiness from within. So similarly, this is my visual, like what I saw. I was thinking, will I be able to? And then when I saw her, I also started crying, because see, that's the powerful effect of association. When you're near somebody who is very intensely Krishna conscious, you can't even help it. You see, that's called happiness from within, that she's able to connect with the Lord, connect with that well of spirituality that's in everyone's heart, the well of love. This is practical. It's not abstract anymore. It happens. So if we can connect to that, if we can at any given time, you'll find if you really focus on Krishna, even between two things at your workplace, wherever you work, or whatever it is that you do, and you just feel the reflection of the Lord, how great, how kind he's been to you, and you're overwhelmed. That is happiness from within. If we can perpetuate that happiness, if we can access it more frequently, more deeply, more intensely, then gradually what happens, the external circumstances become insignificant, utterly inconsequential. That is called happiness from within, not from ups and downs of life. Yeah, maybe they move us a little bit. Oh yeah, I feel so sad. My daughter, she didn't get married yet. She's already 19 years old, not yet married. What's going on? You know how it is. Prabhupada's mother was like, our daughter is like 13 years old. You better get her married. I'm going to commit suicide. Of course, it's not that anymore. But still, we get tense about these things. It doesn't matter. Things are going to happen when they're going to happen, So it's an important point. Can we connect with the Lord in spite of our, sources of stress that are out there? And that's what I'm trying to convey as happiness from within, or at least what I understand when Krishna says that in the 15th chapter. That's just an example. Gail Mata, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Well, yeah, because, Satyananda Maharaj, he recently shared his own personal experience that was like so completely parallel to your own at 15, where, in his younger days, he was sitting next to this a very, very old man, though. Yours was a woman, this was a man. And, Maharaj, he really couldn't connect with deities. That was his challenge. And so when he was seeing this man pouring tears upon looking at the deities, he just had to find out, on a subsequent occasion, how come, where were these tears coming from, and anyway, long story short is that by the blessing of this old man, the next time Satyananda Maharaj went and looked upon the deities, he saw them in a way that he had never seen before. And I think he too ended up crying. He was just, he had a completely spiritual experience. And, his point was, was the association, the power of the association of the devotee.
That's the key point. Lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. It just takes a moment. And that moment doesn't even have to speak. He doesn't have to speak anything. You just see.
Yeah.
And you connect.
He didn't speak anything.
Yeah, that's right.
He just instructed Maharaj to go back and look at those deities again.
Yes. And
he had a completely 180 experience.
Yeah, that's how it works. The matra sadhu sangha. And it says you should always preach. All the time you should preach. And if absolutely necessary, use words.
Yeah, right.
So that's what they're doing. They're preaching by just being devotees. And then once in a while they speak something, but the preaching is what their actions are, the preaching.
Their life, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have another hand up. There's a tennis player there who wants to say something.
I'm not a tennis player. It's just just a profile pic.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the lecture. This is the first time I'm attending it, and I'm open, and I'm humbled with your lecture and whatever all the details that you shared. I believe today is the right day to ask because I had this. I have this problem understanding Radha Tattva. So, like, what role is Sita playing in Ramayana, and I would say Radha playing in the whole story of Krishna, where we see that in Ramayana most of the time the doer is Rama, and in Krishna's story the doer is Krishna. So why, like, what role is I'm cannot understand the Radha Tattva and the Sita Tattva. Why do we have that, and what role does it play in the identity of Ram and Krishna respectively?
Yes, it's a good question. A very deep question, a very involved question, but maybe I can summarize it. So what role does Srimati Radharani play in Krishna's pastimes? And what role does Srimati Sitadevi play in Lord Ram's pastimes in the bigger scheme of things? So one thing to understand is that, like I mentioned, the Shakti is there. So the energy, the Shakti is inseparable. So wherever Krishna goes, Radharani is there. Wherever Lord Ram goes, Sita Devi is there. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is the divinity, the divine absolute truth is a person and is approachable. So we approach the person. And Srimati Radharani is really the person that we approach. The approach happens through the mother. She is the divine mother, Jagan Mata. You see? So even the child, when we're children, really we are much closer to the mother than the father, typically speaking. And we approach the father, we approach parents both, but we tend to go through the mother because she tends to be very kind. She tends to overlook our faults a lot more. She tends to have a much more forgiving nature. She's softer, more nurturing, more caring, more protective. Of course, the father also, but the mother has the different set of qualities, approachability. So there's a lecture by Srila Prabhupada in London that he gave on Srimati Radharani's appearance day. And he says that we should approach Srimati Radharani if we want to access Krishna. You see, in fact, we should just serve Radharani. Why? Because Srimati Radharani's mood is such that even if I'm not devotee, but I do some gesture of love, I bring a flower and offer it to Srimati Radharani, then Srimati Radharani will turn to Krishna and say, look, this is your devotee. Please accept him. Now, I may be a total rascal. I may be a not devotee, but because I approach Srimati Radharani and Srimati Radharani recommends me, Krishna won't say no. But if you go straight, he'll definitely say no. Given my rascaldom, 100%. You want to look at me. But because Radharani is there. So that is her role for us. You see, Srimati Radharani has multiple roles. Same with Sita Devi. Multiple roles. She has a role for the Lord by serving him, by being his pleasure potency, giving him great joy. But by giving him great joy in that service, he feels so much bliss. And then he thinks, wow, Srimati Radharani is serving me. I'm feeling so much bliss. And Krishna looks at her. Oh, she looks even happier than me. What's going on? I can't miss out on this action. And he feels very stressed out about it. Like, whoa, I need to feel this bliss. And then he touches her with a deep desire to feel that bliss. So deep is his desire that his color turns from black to golden. And he takes up Srimati Radharani's mood and desire, and he himself turns golden, and he is known as Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is her role, to serve in separation. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, it's actually Krishna combined with the energy of Radharani's love. So it's a combination of Radha Krishna. We hear about this in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas. It's there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he expresses it by feeling of love in separation. So Radharani's mood is to serve Krishna in separation, because the intensity of love in separation is much deeper than love in union. It's a lot more. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So the absence of Krishna makes her even more desperate for Krishna. In fact, she enjoys this loving mood of separation so much that one day she was there hand in hand with Krishna. Krishna's hands were holding her. She was holding Krishna's hand. She was basically a few inches from his face. And she closes her eyes and she feels, oh my God, where's my Krishna? And she plunges in a mood of separation, even though he's holding both her hands. And she enjoys the bliss of separation. While she's right there. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned. Is certainly something more than just something functional, not just a function. Even the word function itself is kind of cold. We say, what is her role? Even the word role is somewhat, it's more of a loving exchange between her and the Lord and her. And then she is giving us access to Krishna. Now, our goal, actually speaking, is not Krishna. Our goal is who? Our main boss. Our main person that we worship is not Krishna. We worship Smt Radharani. She's our main boss. One time some rich family that come to, this is a time of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and the rich family that come, they're also devotees that come to Radha Kund. And they're doing parikrama of Radha Kund, but not a walking parikrama. They're doing the Dandvat parikrama. They would offer obeisances, and then they would move on, offer another obeisance, like they're doing parikrama, Dandvat parikrama. And then the disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, they told, Guru Maharaj, these devotees have come, they must really love Radharani, because they're doing Dandvat parikrama of Radha Kund. And said, yes, they're good devotees, but we are different from them. So why are we different? Well, their main goal is Krishna. And they've come here to please Radharani so they can access Krishna. But our goal is different. Our main concern is Radharani. And the only reason we worship Krishna is because she happens to like him. But otherwise, she's our main boss. That's how we explained it, that we are Radha's servants. We chant Hare Krishna, the first name is Hare, Radha. You see. So we are only praying to her. Krishna's presence is incidental. In that sense, of course, it's a very sweet way of saying it. So, but this is our teaching of our Gaudiya Siddhanta. You see, and those who worship Vishnu are called Vaishnavas. Those who worship Krishna are called Karsneyas, and those who worship Radharani are known as Gaudiyas. That's who we are. So that's the inside scoop for you. That's the role of her.
Yes, Prabhuji. ISKCON is Gaudiyas.
That's correct.
Okay. So the bliss that we feel in the transcendental bliss, would it be fair to say that that comes because of Radha Tattva?
Oh, 100%. She's the guardian of that bliss, because she gives bliss to Krishna, and that bliss comes to us also. Yeah. She's the Hladini Shakti. Yes.
It's the first time, Prabhuji, I'm hearing such good words about Radha. Like, I've been associated with ISKCON for a few months now. I've never heard some lectures on Radha. How can we know more about this Radha Tattva, and how can we, what do we need to do to increase? Yes. Because like I've been incorporating only Krishna in my worship and
yes.
So how do we how to become a devotee of Radha then?
To understand these deeper secrets, I strongly recommend you read Srila Prabhupada's book, Nectar of Devotion. Read it very closely. Read it very deeply, and you will see how Smt Radharani's role plays. Nectar of Devotion is a very important, advanced book. We all need to read it. In fact, it is one of the books that is covered in the Bhakti Shastri course. So definitely strongly urge you to read it, the whole thing, end to end, and you'll find a lot about that. We don't need to go outside too much. It's all in there. You read Srimad Bhagavatam very closely. Yes.
Also, just a quick comment on the misinformation of ISKCON and flowing out on the internet about Radha. Like, there's a lot of video circulating that ISKCON is opposing to Radha. And now with your lecture, I think all those skepticism is gone. I don't know, like all these demons are spreading this.
I have not come across any of those videos, but yeah, I mean, if anyone is saying that we are opposed to Radha, it doesn't make any sense. You should read, like Gail Mataji has put over here, Srila Prabhupada's lecture on Montreal and Radharani's appearance there. You can read that. You can read all the Radhashmi lectures Prabhupada has given. There's no question.
I have another question. Sorry, I have another question about the Shakti Tattva, right? We have seen that Krishna, we saw in your lecture that Shaktiman is Krishna and Radha is Shakti, right? How is this Shakti Tattva different from Shiv Shakti that we know of? I think in Vedas there is a mention of Via Negativa and Via Positiva. Is that they are are Shiv Shakti, and I mean the Shakti in respect to Shiv and Shakti in respect to Shaktiman, are they one and the same?
They are in one sense. Prabhupada describes this also. He answers this question also in the Gita. So, and in that same verse that I quoted, by the way, right? There are two verses. Mogasha moga karmano moga jnana vicheshatah rakshashim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim ashrita. So those who are materially inclined, those are selfishly inclined. Even those are demonic, especially those are demonically inclined. They take ashraya of Mohini Prakriti. Mohini Prakriti is the other energy of the Lord. Mohini is a deluding energy of the Lord.
That lustful energy?
No, not lustful. It's deluding. Deluding means confusing energy of the Lord. It confuses you. And that energy of the Lord is embodied in Durga Devi or Parvati or Uma. So that is also the energy of the Lord, you see.
Oh.
And when the Lord impregnates the souls from him into the material world, they actually flow into the material world. That happens through his glance. That's described in Brahma Samhita. It's also described in Bhagavatam. He glances at the material energy and the souls can get impregnated into it through the glance.
The glance of whom, sorry?
The glance of Vishnu. The glance of Krishna.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Krishna glances at his material energy, who is Durga Devi. That glance is personified also. The personification of that glance is Lord Shiva. Therefore, Lord Shiva is married to Durga Devi. The glance is the impregnation of the souls into the material world. See? And therefore, symbolically, Lord Shiva and Durga Devi are symbolically shown as the linga and the yoni, because it's the impregnation. Symbolic, you see how the temples and the worship is like that, you see? It symbolizes that impregnation. That's why Lord Shiva is worshipped like that. Because Lord Shiva is actually basically Lord Vishnu, but in a converted form, suitable for associating with the material energy of the Lord. Now, Prabhupada describes even that energy, Daivi Prakriti and Mohini Prakriti, are both his energies. And in one sense, they're one and the same. In a functional sense, they're somewhat different. But the analogy Prabhupada uses is electricity. Electricity is the same energy. It can be used to cool your house. It can be used to heat your house. The same energy, doing almost opposite things. Similarly, the same energy of the Lord, it uses to uplift a soul or to bind a person. Both. It does both. The same energy. So functionally, they're different. So the air condition is different and the electric heat is different. Like that. You see? But the energy comes from the same source. Right? So it's somewhat technical. But this, it can go on for a long time, this discussion. But I hope this helps you somewhat, Prabhu.
Definitely, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for that very nice explanation on Radharani and how she is the divine energy for all of us and why we are Gaudiyas in that sense. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, and I don't see any more reasons. I will just read the chat messages. So Lalitangi Mataji is saying, very fabulous class, very crisp to the point. Each sentence quoted like sutras. Hari Om. And then, so everyone is saying the class was very wonderful, and Rajeshwari Priya Mataji is saying is thanking you for your association. That's it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes, Shyamagori Mataji, you have anything to say?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very, very wonderful class and very beautiful answers, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for speaking about Sita Devi, because it's the appearance day of Sita Devi. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming on the call. You have very busy schedule, but still you accepted our request and came. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for inviting me. It's a real honor to be with all of you. Hare Krishna.
I can see, Prabhuji, you have time? I can see one raised hand here.
Sure, yeah, I see it's Mitravinda Mataji. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Madana-Gopala Prabhu. Please,
Haribol.
this is Algoisha Prabhupada.
Yeah,
I just wanted to thank you for your fearless understandings and efforts to educate us on these aspects of tattva regarding Smt Radharani. These things that are not generally or commonly heard or known in day-to-day classes. So I do appreciate that. I also wanted to thank you for sharing today on Sita Devi, the actual embodiment of these aspects of faith and strength and courage, and giving us these insights into how we can actually persevere as she did through these aspects of patience, faith, while actually being strong to Ram. And it just gives insights on how to move through difficulties that we have as Gaudiya Vaishnavas and still desire to serve. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Mitravinda. Haribol. Okay. So,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you very much.
Haribol, that's Mother Komadaki. My obeisance is Mother Komadaki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and going on this call. Hare Krishna. Grateful to you.
Hare Krishna. So we'll see you again soon. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Haribol.
Okay, let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha Koti Vaishnava ki jai.